following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Nicky Spagnola.
It is a Tuesday at noon inside the SWBC podcast studio here at the Star in Frisco, and it is officially Buccaneers week around here. Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola, as we are now less than a week away from the Super Wild Card playoff matchup in Tampa against the Buccaneers. Name? That's what the NFL's calling it, Super Wild Card Weekend.
Oh, I thought Bill was just being hyperbolic. Oh, okay.
No, Roger Goodell is being hyperbolic about it. What is the difference?
What makes it super?
I don't, because they've added another
wild card team?
What?
I don't know why it's super now. What's the difference?
Maybe
it's not like there's another round of games.
But you still could have
wild
card teams playing.
They
next
added
week,
two more
maybe?
games. I think that's why.
And that's why we have.
That's
the
why
Monday.
it's super.
That's why we have the Monday, right? The Monday game, correct? Because we added teams.
It wasn't super before we added these other teams.
We didn't play on Monday.
Yeah,
correct.
Well, there used to only be 4 games,
That's
right?
true. You could play 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Now we got Monday.
So
we're dragging this out.
We get to go to Tampa Bay on Monday.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yes,
that's right.
Absolutely.
And then turn around on a short week and play Philadelphia or San Francisco.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you're the wild card.
You're assured of playing on Sunday during the divisional playoff round, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're not playing on Saturday.
You would hope.
Yeah.
Who would you rather have if you're the Cowboys?
In the second round, we're looking past him.
Yeah, we're looking past. Forget Brady. No, we don't need those guys. They don't concern us. We're 3-point favorites, right?
Well, here's what you prefer. You prefer that Seattle beat San Francisco and the Giants beat Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you
would be playing.
You get a
home game. That's right. You'd get a home game against
I must admit,
the Giants.
Because, by the way, it's been pointed out the Cowboys can't win on grass.
Yeah, so I wouldn't mind going to Minnesota.
Which I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What's the difference playing on grass? Because both teams, as Jerry said, have to play on grass.
Yes. The best thing about me in playing on grass is it slows down the wide receivers.
But does it slow down the other team's wide receivers too?
Yeah, it does, but
yours and theirs.
With me, I need it because I was slow, period. So it gave me time to think when you've got a guy.
It didn't slow you down?
It's slow. I was already slow. See, when you're accustomed to slowness, and then, it helps me.
You're the same slow on grass or turf.
Slow
it doesn't
grass
matter.
Or turf.
Yeah.
But it gives me a chance to decipher what the receivers are doing because they're running slower in grass. They're not nearly as quick. You put a quick guy, you put a Tyreek Hill in Texas Stadium.
Yeah.
Old school Texas Stadium, that's one thing. But if you put him in San Francisco, at Candlestick.
Yeah, but that's...
Man, I can read that all
See,
day
the problem for you and me,
The grass
Mickey,
is better.
Is that we always played in sand.
Yeah.
Well, so does San Francisco. Just depending on how they treat the grass there.
That's true. That's true.
I just never believed that stuff.
No,
because if it
really
slows a fast guy down, it should slow a slow guy down.
A fast guy is accustomed to going quickly.
Okay, so what about a pass rush? This is what Jason Garrett was bringing up the other day, is that he thinks it affects the Cowboys' pass rush playing on grass. They can't get off as fast as on turf.
If you look at
if you're going up against an offensive lineman, then
doesn't that slow him down?
It does slow him down, but if you look at what Michael Parsons does, you look at the speed rushes that he always uses.
Okay.
You got to know that he can't make the same moves on turf. It's not as effective on turf as it is on grass as it is on turf. It's just the way it is.
Because in many cases, the offensive lineman is a stationary object, and he's just got to run around them, and so
he can't run around.
He can't run as fast.
It's just fact. That is facts. That's physics.
Okay,
that's
all right.
physics.
I just want to know.
Whereas a DB is not a stationary object
because they've lost.
But yet, they still have to maneuver around a defensive back, you can do that much quicker with a quick-footed guy, as opposed to a guy who's accustomed to being slow-footed.
Well, 4 of their 5 games have been lost on grass.
So there's merit.
Yeah,
4 of the 5 games that we lost.
But the 4
and I don't think our sack total was all that good either.
Yeah, but the 4 games were against. They were all
Green
against.
Bay?
They were all other than Green Bay. It was all playoff teams, right?
Still, you could look at Green Bay at that time making a playoff move.
And who did they beat on grass? Tennessee?
The other thing is they had the greatest receiver coming out in the draft in years in Christian Watson, the Packers did.
That's right.
And he showed it on us.
And he was faster.
Yeah, he seemed to be. The grass didn't seem to slow him down.
As a matter of fact, after that game, nothing slowed him down. Even this last game.
Now, when you're talking, Grant, there's one thing we all have to worry about: maneuverability, not slipping, and things of that nature. More so on grass. But when it comes to the speed aspect, it does make a difference.
It didn't slow down Hines. I assume they got grass in Buffalo.
I don't even know what.
Grass in Buffalo?
Yeah, the guy that returned the 2 kickoffs
they
for
have
touchdowns.
Grass in Buffalo? I mean, they have grass
They
in the
didn't
stadium.
used to.
Oh, they got turf?
I think they have turf.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured they had grass because they're in the north and you got to play. Everything's got to be on grass. So when it snows,
everything has to be outdoors.
It's soggy.
Everything has to be outdoors in the north, not necessarily on grass.
Build a new stadium and not put a roof on it. Okay, get your 2 feet of snow.
Okay.
I have a lot of questions, so that was my first
That's
one.
a good one.
That's your first question.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
a very good
Can I
question.
ask a question?
Yeah.
Did you listen to Jerry on the radio this morning?
I did.
Okay. Would you like to explore his thoughts, or is there something else you would like to explore prior to that?
What thought would you like to address?
Oh, well,
first?
I just
Grass, you know what his answer to grass was?
What?
He said, my point is they have to play on grass too. And I said, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
He's been listening to Mick shots.
Although he said that, he respects Jason and he knows Jason's pretty smart.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, my point is they have to play on grass too.
And once again, that still has merit, of course. So each has to make the adjustment. I'm just saying, from a DB standpoint, you slow those wide receivers down, it makes you think a little bit more.
So maybe the first step?
Well, they can close the gap on you fast. So, yeah, the first 2 or 3 steps, that makes a big difference.
Okay.
If a DB's back there, I'm lined up off, right? I'm lined about 8 yards off, 7 yards off. And on turf, they can close that gap extremely quickly. On grass, they just can't.
So when Bob Hayes set the world record, was he on turf or grass?
He was on
cinder.
In borrowed shoes on the inside lane.
Right.
Okay, so we can build that up to where it's even more spectacular than what it was.
All right, so...
And that was in Tokyo, wasn't it? I think.
Yes, it was.
What's your next question?
Well, you tell me what you got out of Jerry. Yeah.
They asked him about Mike McCarthy's status.
I wonder how soon you'd get to that.
If the playoff game would impact it one way or another, and he said no. And there was a pregnant pause.
Of course
they didn't know what to say next.
Do you expect him to answer his answers to go longer than one word?
And after the pause,
that would give me pause. The fact that he gave pause.
And then he said, "I don't even want to know." He goes, "That's it. I don't need to go into all the pluses and minuses. I've got a lot more to evaluate Mike McCarthy than a playoff game." And that was that.
I like his optimism, but I have to think that I'll put it like that. I beg to differ. Can I just say that?
Yeah.
Go ahead. It won't be a. I think it's a more comfortable conversation if we go further. A very uncomfortable conversation if we're out at the end of Monday night.
So when's the last time he got rid of a coach coming off a winning
12-win
season. A
12
12-win
win
season.
2 straight 12-win seasons,
Yes.
Mickey.
Because Barry Switzer was 6-10. Jimmy left on his own. Tom Landry was coming off a 3-13 season. Chan Gailey 8-8.
A competitive 3-13.
Yeah. Chan Gailey 8-8. Wade Phillips 1-7. Bill Parcells left on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Garrett 8-8 last season. Is that right? Remember? Yeah, it was 8-8. So there's no precedent for saying, well, we lost the playoff game, you're out. Other than Chan Gailey at 8-8 and losing 2 straight.
The only thing I can
games.
compare this to is when Tom was coaching. Before I got there in '80, lost to Philly championship. Got there in '81, lost to San Francisco in the championship. '82, lost to the Skins.
Yeah, that was your guy's fault.
Yeah, of course. It's us championship,
Right.
3 in a row. So Tom's, instead of firing coaches or making, just continuing on the same path,
Right.
he said we have to make a move to make us that much better because we're being stagnant at the championship. And, of course, the standard at that time was Super Bowls for the Cowboys, right?
Right.
We made moves, but it made us worse.
Yeah.
It didn't make us better. So
Got beat again in '83 in the first round.
we didn't even go. We didn't even make it. We made it to no more championships under
Right.
Tom Landry,
I
period.
said just the playoff.
Yeah,
game.
just the playoffs.
Didn't make it in '84.
And 85.
Got beat in the first round.
Right. We barely won the NFC East
Yeah.
by a miracle.
After losing
getting blown
2
out
games
twice.
to Cincinnati and the Bears.
Not just losing, no, blown out.
40-something to nothing or
Yeah.
whatever.
Wow,
it
that can
was.
compare to this.
Yeah.
I just thought about that. And,
So-
what did we do? We came back and won the East.
Anyway, that was his answer.
And I think my point is, be careful how the moves you make from here, depending on whether you win or lose.
Yes.
Be careful.
Because if you bring in a new coach, right, chances are he's not going to say, okay, I'm picking up where we left off.
Yeah.
He's going to change things.
It's going to change a lot.
Right? And sometimes change takes a while to change things. So you got to be careful on that one, even though I'm guaranteeing you the national perspective out there is if Mike McCarthy doesn't win, he's out as the Cowboys head coach.
Right. Well, everybody likes to say something, bombastic things about the Cowboys.
But that's what's going to take place.
That would love the media would actually those critical sports talk TV shows or whatever. They would love for that to happen because they give them something to talk about.
Right.
It's not about what's the right thing to do. It's just being able to talk about it.
He had another one. It was like a profound philosophical quote. They asked him if the adversity of losing to Washington, playing the way they did, will help them in this coming game. Like, make you mad and you're going to try harder and all that stuff.
I see where your head is on this.
Right.
I can tell by the tone.
Is it a wake-up call?
He said, I know that successes are the prospect of being smart and got all the answers. Success is every bit the undermining flaw that failure is. And to have had some, meaning failure, to think that's what you are is also a fraud. Both are frauds. So he was basically saying success and failure, it doesn't translate into going forward and making you a better team. They're frauds. And the answer they had for that one is we're going to put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, because I gotta decipher that one.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, okay, wait a minute. I was on stationary bike, and I'm going, yeah, I think I heard that right.
It made you stop pedaling. Like, okay, wait.
I want to write that down. And then I came back to basically listen to it. He was positive about the injuries, as was McCarthy, basically pointing out that he felt like Leighton was ready to go, that Deron Bland could practice on Wednesday, Hankins and who am I forgetting? Biotish also. I've had people tell me that his workout yesterday was really good.
Tyler Biotish?
That is good.
Yeah.
That is
and to me, that's that and Van Der Esch and Bland. I know they need Hankins, but those three guys, I think that's critical to this game. And I saw where Tampa Bay, although I don't know why I'm going to bring this up because it was the same thing in the opener, having problems at center. Their starting center, Hainsey, who wasn't the starter at the beginning, right? Because somebody else had gotten hurt.
Ryan
Jensen. Well, he's the starting center now, Hainsey. And he came out of the game because of an ankle, not because they started resting guys. And so they were going to move their left guard or one of the guards over to center, Nick Leverett, and then they were going to have to move somebody else into left guard.
Luke Gedicke was their second-round draft pick who started against the Cowboys in the opener, and he was the starter at left guard the first half of the season. He got hurt and missed about 7 games.
Right.
And actually has been the backup, and because they were resting guys, he started in their last game against Atlanta on Sunday. But so Nick Leverett, who is a undrafted guy out of Rice in the 2020 draft, became the starter at left guard at midseason, actually about, 5 games ago.
But they moved him to center.
Right, and so he has a background as a center.
And then John Melkin replaced Leverett at guard.
Okay.
So they've got but we made a big deal of that about the opener. It didn't mean diddly, right? They were okay, beating the Cowboys 19-3. But from an injury standpoint for the Cowboys, Bland with the chest injury. When you hear chest, what do you think of? Pet?
Of DeMar.
Or that.
That's what I was talking
about. That too.
Now you do.
Yeah. Although, what would be a very good story for someone to do is to explain what the teams go through to have the preparation Buffalo had in place before the game. And I think I knew this, but I got reminded of it that before every game for 1 hour, the entire medical staff, not just the Cowboys trainers and doctors, the spotters that are up in the booth, the other doctors that are there with the EMT people, they have a meeting for 60 minutes before every game to go through their protocol, to go through the plan in place where they would go if something like that happened. And I was told that they already have a police escort planned that if something happened at AT&T Stadium, they can get to Baylor downtown in 15 minutes with a police escort. So that stuff, and then in the summer, they have a seminar where they all have to go through, and they go through the whole plan of what has to happen and what type of doctors you have to have there. See, we know they got orthopedic doctors, they've got back specialists, neck, spine specialists, but they also have, for a better word, air specialists. Like if you're having trouble breathing, they have a specialist for that. They got all these specialists there that we don't know, and it's pretty detailed.
Right.
So I thought I'd throw
Well,
that
I
out.
think it's not just the personnel, but it's the equipment.
Yeah, and
So
the
you
practice.
make sure you have that defibrillator. I
Right,
think is
right.
one of the most important thing to have there.
And again, I think we talked about this. The most important thing was for him to get breathing again before. They didn't want to waste time going into the EMT ambulance. They needed to get him breathing when he was on the field.
That's right.
And it sounds like, unless he has underlying conditions, that he should be fine. And then he would have to make a decision if he wants to play again.
Scary decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out.
stuff.
That wasn't part of Jerry's.
Good stuff.
No, but you were talking about Deron Bland.
Yes, right.
At the time.
Yeah, and so chest to me is a pec, usually is the injury, and that's serious. But I think they felt good after the game, and McCarthy thought he would be able to practice on Wednesday. So that's significant to me if he can play, because now you've only got to fill one spot. If Bland stays in the slot on the nickel, then you got to find a left corner. If you're playing two tight ends, Bland can play on the outside, right? And then you have to decide on the nickel, am I better putting somebody outside, Bland inside, or leaving Bland outside and putting somebody else in the nickel? And Mackenzie Alexander did that, and then he strained, and I keep saying a groin, I haven't checked on it. He had some leg injury, why he didn't play last week.
In hockey, they call that a lower body injury.
Thank you. Yeah, I should have just covered myself with that, right? So there's a chance he would be ready this week. And I think they liked it, him in the slot, and then Bland outside, and then how quickly can Rhodes be ready to go?
Right.
And I mean, he was on the
He
roster.
just got cut.
Yeah, but he hadn't played that much. I think he only played in a couple of games, I thought I read. But he was sort of the backup guy. And then what happened is they had Hyde, their safety, was out, and then Hamlin got hurt. He's out, and they needed safety help, and they signed Jared
Maiden out of
Thank you.
Out of Saxe High School in Alabama.
Really?
Yep.
And so they signed him off a practice squad onto their 53-man roster because they needed safety help. So they were looking, how do we make that spot? And Rhodes was
got rid of a corner for a safety?
Well, they
needed because Hamlin was out.
They were down in numbers at
and
safety.
so they needed a safety.
I guess they didn't think Rhodes could play safety.
I was going to say.
Unlike Everson Walls.
Well, not just myself. You got all kind of old cornerbacks out there looking for a safety position. I'm just surprised they didn't just insert him into that. I'm sure he could do it.
Oh, boy. We just went a little bit over, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
No,
Sorry, my bad.
Always.
All right, we continue with more Mick Shots in just a moment.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cape Post Roofing and Waterproofing, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. From corporate homes to your home. Have your roof checked by choice, not by chance. Call now, 214-225-4860, capepostcompany.com.
And Dak Prescott and your Dallas Cowboys are heading to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in the wild card round of the 2022 NFL playoffs. Come out to Miller Lighthouse at AT&T Stadium for a free wild card watch party on Monday. Cheer on the boys alongside the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders and Rowdy while enjoying lawn games, food trucks, music, and more. Gates open at 5:30. Kickoff is at 7:15. For more info, visit DallasCowboys.com/2022 playoffs.
Now that was a professional, damn it.
Wow.
We should all take notes, ladies and gentlemen.
And where is that affair taking place at?
It is at the Miller Lighthouse at AT&T Stadium. So there you go.
That's a pretty big affair, I found out. I went walking out there before one of the games this year.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
You never knew that?
No, I knew they did, but they expanded it, right?
Yeah.
The food trucks are out there.
Have a little plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's the place to go to get ready for the game on Monday. Your wild card watch party. Not only you're ready for the game, but you watch the game there. You know, I was at a TCU watching party.
I was just going to ask.
At Schollmeyer Arena on the TCU campus, and those fans were so fired up for the start of that game. I didn't stick around once the game started. I don't know how long they stayed.
Because I don't think they stayed at SoFi.
Yes.
Which, by the way, did you see the downside of SoFi, the way it's built?
Yes.
It started raining, and the wind was blowing, and the water was coming into the stadium. It was
raining sideways.
They have no side doors.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they had nothing
But
to,
it's not that high,
air.
but it's open air around the circumference.
Oh, and one of the issues that they had because of that is the concourse area, it was wet, and they were having people slip and fall, and they were taking people out on stretchers.
No way.
Yes, people were suffering injuries.
Because they didn't realize it was slippery?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
You know, I was talking with people at the
maybe
Rangers.
they were just falling out because of the score.
No, they were. They brought it up on the broadcast. It says, insult to injury, it was only happening on the TCU side.
And it looked like an umbrella was over the entire.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's a canopy.
It's like a big canopy.
Big canopy. That's cheap.
No, I think it's a pretty expensive canopy.
Yeah, but still,
it was a great idea.
Building a facility like AT&T that can actually support
it's LA.
These big doors.
They have great
Here's the other part of that. It's an ongoing
debate?
No, I was going to say something that had to do with cheapness. You don't have to pay for air conditioning too when you have an open air facility like that.
I'm sure Jerry did not consult him on that.
Well, didn't they have? I don't think it wasn't the preseason game when the Cowboys were there. They had a problem with tornado warnings, and they were delaying maybe the start of the game because they were worried about the wind coming through.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Well, they had
what was that,
a lightning warning.
That's what it was.
It was lightning in the area, and they had to delay like a Monday night or Sunday night football start because of it.
Yeah. Because they were worried the lightning was going to sneak under your cheap roof. And
I'm worried about the wind coming under the cheap roof. I mean, if the wind catches it, the whole stadium can
never rains in Southern California.
Yeah, you tell them that last night.
Another thing they had a problem with the Cowboys game, remember when we played the Rams in the opener, is they had fires out there, and they were concerned about the air quality problems.
And with the dryness around in L.A., that's
an ongoing issue.
Okay, then my last question is, you're facing Georgia They might as well be in the NFL, and you're going to try to play a three-man defensive front?
That's what they play.
When I saw that, I said, I don't like my pick.
When I saw how big everyone was in red,
I saw
a guy like 300-plus pounds walking on his toes.
I'm telling you.
I'm
telling you, it's a different brand of football in the SEC as opposed to elsewhere.
Anywhere else.
But it comes down to, so if you are building a team to win the Big 12, you don't need those big defensive linemen like Georgia and Alabama have, okay? Because they're throwing the ball all over the lot. You don't go up against an Alabama or a Georgia to win your conference championship. That's why Oklahoma and Texas, back in 2000 through 2010, when they were in championship games, winning championship games, and they would have NFL players in their front seven on defense, okay, they built the team that way. Since then, with the advent of the spread offense and the success of the SEC, these players do not want to go to a Big 12 school because their path to the NFL is to go play in the SEC. And that's why the SEC has become an NFL junior league.
Yes.
And you do not recruit defensive tackles in the Big 12 like you would in the SEC. And that's why Oklahoma and Texas, if they want to win a national championship, they need to go to the SEC so that they can recruit those type of players, because otherwise they're going to run into, as Oklahoma has over the last decade several times, they get into that college football playoff and they don't have the personnel to compete against Alabama and LSU.
So long to realize that you just
because it's happened. It's happened in the last 10 years. Yeah. Prior to the domination of Nick Saban's teams at Alabama, it was spread out where the Big 12 was able to recruit those players too. Mm-hmm. But since then, it's been your path to the NFL is you go to the SEC, and that
really started with Saban.
That's right.
It really
and the success that Alabama had starting in 2007 or whatever.
All I know is that year I went to the SEC title game in Atlanta. Missouri was playing Auburn, and Auburn had a very good running game. And the Missouri defensive coordinator, who didn't last very long after that, played a three-man front. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there watching this 340-pound offensive lineman picking off the Missouri linebackers because there was nobody with a head start because no one's in front of them.
That's right.
They ran, and Missouri stayed with them. I think it went into the fourth quarter. It was 45-42. They ran for 500 yards, 500, and I'm yelling, would you put another guy on maybe two more guys on the line of scrimmage and force them to throw the ball?
I recall from watching that game, days gone by, you're talking those years, when the running back was the guy on the team. Mm-hmm. And in the Southwest Conference, I just remember
Earl Campbell.
Every team had at least 3 running backs. If Earl would go down, somebody else would come in and just pick Thurman Thomas, Oklahoma State. Who's waiting behind him? Barry Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just had that. You had that on every Southwest Conference team. A running back would go down or just get some rest because he already gained about 200 freaking yards. Billy Sims gained 200 yards. Then you put in another guy, a Peacock or somebody like that. Mm-hmm. They're waiting in the wings. That used to be every Southwest Conference team, a Big 12 team. You don't have that anymore simply because of the way they changed the game.
Well, all I know is they kept saying TCU's having a hard time setting the edge. Setting the edge? There was no edge. There was no one there. It's like at some point you got to change. Well, they
don't have the personnel to.
I guess not.
It's a completely different brand of football.
If it worked against Michigan, he's thinking, why not?
I'm thinking Michigan sitting
they don't have a fourth defensive lineman to put on the field, basically. I mean, they do have backups, but they're not,
And then you got a 3-man pass rush against 5 behemoths.
In Big 12, you don't get sacks. Because they get the ball out so quick. That's right. There's no such thing as play fake.
And they had
some
guy on defense. I don't know which one it was, but I thought it was the highlight film of Deron Payne just taking his arm and doing this, moving the guy out of the way. It's like, get out of my way. Golly.
And so that's why on offense, you can't miss on passes early in the game like Duggan did in that game. You have to score. Okay, I mean, it's just like TCU played Michigan. It was a 51-45 game. When Oklahoma played Georgia in the semifinal game with Baker Mayfield in 2016, it was a 51-48 score, whatever it was. You have to score half 100 to keep up with them.
Let's remember, you had 2 defensive scores for TCU.
About last week, that's right.
Yeah, so
they had 2 pick sixes. That's right.
None of that.
It's like playing pinball.
And you had, for Michigan last week, you had a touchdown taken away that should have been a touchdown on review, and they fumbled on the next play on the goal line. And their first possession of the game, Michigan went for it on 4th down at the 1-yard line and missed. And so there's 28 points right there that went against Michigan that didn't go against Georgia last night. And the other part of it is it's the attitude that they have on offense. I mean, they could have kept that score under control. In fact, one of the biggest you look, it's 65-7, but one of the biggest plays of the game was made by Stetson Bennett to Brock Bowers, their tight end, who is a fabulous player.
Man, this guy.
Can I draft him?
Yeah, not this year. You got to wait till next year. But I'm giving the Heisman Trophy to him next year.
That guy there.
All right, but they were facing Georgia. It was 24-7 with 2 minutes left in the first half. Georgia was ahead. Georgia's facing 3rd and 15. And Bennett threaded the needle to Bowers for a first down, and they scored on that possession, and then to make it 31-7, and then TCU throws another pick. They score another touchdown before the half. If TCU makes that stop on 3rd and 15 with 2 minutes left in the game, and it's a 24-7 game, and they just run the ball and get to the house at 24-7, the game never gets away from them like that. But then when it's 59-7 with 8 minutes left in the game and you're facing 4th and 6 at your own 29-yard line and you go for it, you deserve to give up 70 points.
Well, and also I don't know that Bennett need to be in the game as long as he was.
Well, they took him out with 9 minutes left.
Yeah, but it was still 50 points, right? Before he
the 59
out.
point.
They could have taken him out. Yeah, at halftime. They really could have.
Wow.
They hadn't taken Duggan out. You know, you aren't going to take your starter out. We're going to keep ours in.
Well, yeah, but different perspectives.
All I got to say is welcome to the SEC.
That's right. And you just filled up that segment.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and we continue with more Mick Shots in just a moment.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere Zero Turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more. Back to Mick Shots.
This is How We Country. Country music's party of the year is coming to Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. The Academy of Country Music Awards are always bringing you country music's brightest stars together under one roof. And no one does country like Texas. Witness history on May 11th. Get your tickets at SeatGeek.com.
You like Mickey's broadcast voice?
We had a drop off. That was a
no. I thought Mickey stepped up his game on that one.
Once again,
announcer man.
That's
still
right.
a drop off. As much as he stepped up his game, I get it.
He did step it up. That's right. All right. I started my study of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, studied them before the season opener this year.
Yeah. And did you have it right?
Well, no. It's just you see what's happened since then, and. When I look at their roster and what they've been doing, kind of manipulating things to get to a division title, a coveted division title in that NFC South, winning that and getting their guy, they're going to have their guys ready to play on Monday. As far they've been trying, as with every team, okay, especially any team that's quarterbacked by Tom Brady, it's all about the postseason. And even though their record is only 8-9, they knew about mid-season that, well, all we got to do is be better than Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta. That's right. And so it was you could see the marathon of the season. They are getting their veteran guys ready at the right time so that they're ready to play Monday night against the Cowboys. And so it's going to be very interesting to see. And they played Brady half the game anyway, 31 snaps against Atlanta last week, even with a makeshift offensive line in front of them.
They played all three quarterbacks. They getting them ready too? Gabbard and Trask?
No, they just.
That was kind of cool that Brady has played the entire season, every snap.
Yep.
That's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't his best season by far, but I think that says a lot about how he takes care of himself. You know?
Yeah.
And when
even takes care of himself in the middle of a play where it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I know what you're saying, but even you know how many times he was sacked this year? 22 sacked. And you know how many times he was sacked last year in 17 games? 23. So it's basically the same.
So I'm wondering if anybody's, you know how the Cowboys win a game and it gets questioned because should have beat them worse?
Yeah.
So I understand they finished 8-9 and didn't really play that last game against the Falcons. But I saw where they beat the 4-13 Cardinals on a field goal in overtime, and they beat.
And what happened with the Cardinals coach yesterday?
Who got fired?
Canned yesterday. Yep.
And then they beat the Rams. Did the Rams win 5 games? Maybe.
Something like that. 4 or 5.
4 or 5. 4.
I think the Rams won 4 games.
They beat them with a touchdown with 9 seconds left in the game. And I bet no one's looking back and going, well, you know, we're going to minimize those wins. Those wins are wins, right?
They beat New Orleans 17-16.
And that was after New Orleans had beaten them, I think, 3 straight.
How'd they do when they went to San Francisco?
I think they got clobbered.
They lost 35-7.
Yeah. So.
And he still played every down.
But it's Brady.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. It's Brady. And I noticed that on their depth chart that they released on their website that Fournette was like the backup running back.
Well, he's been bothered by an injury. He did play against Atlanta 3 snaps.
His stomach muscles are too tight.
I forgot the guy's name. They listed another running back as their starter.
Rashad White?
Yes, I believe that was it. Yes.
When you look at a game like this,
strange, right?
When you look at a game like what's coming up,
3 A's actually.
3?
RACHAAD.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When you look at a game like this is going to be about matchups. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. The defense, the Tampa Bay defense is going to try and hold us down as much as possible offensively. And when Tampa Bay comes out, Brady is going to try and attack us from a personnel standpoint. If he thinks he has a matchup, he's going to go.
Well, you know where he's going.
You know where he's going. He's going
to the right side of the field.
Yes, to his right side of the field. That's exactly where he's going. And we have to know that. This is going to be just man on man. And when I say man on man, I don't mean like man on man. I mean you're going to have to beat your man. The scheme, to me, is secondary when it comes to games like this. You're going to have to be successful against the person in front of you. That's going to happen. Otherwise, we're not going to win this game if we don't approach it in that manner.
And they will test the Cowboys' quote-unquote big nickel defense with 2 tight ends and running the ball and see if they can hold up running the football. And they know they need to keep the Cowboys' offense off the field. I understand it's short-circuited this last game, but they know what this offense did all season long, and they're going to want to keep that offense off the field. So the Cowboys better buckle up and get ready to worrying about Brady.
They're going to keep trying to run that ball. Brady's going to try to hit you with the surprise.
And when he gets to the 50-yard line, you better be ready. It's going down the field. And as Jerry said, everybody's making a big deal out of the Cowboys never beating Brady. Jerry's point was we've never beaten the team Brady was playing with.
That's the problem.
And he said we are playing a team, not that guy. And we have to be ready for what they do.
And let's be real. There's going to be a time in the game, if it's crucial enough, to where you are playing Brady.
Yeah.
There's going to be that time that comes. That's where you have to be prepared. That's when you're going to have to match man on man. There is no scheme that's going to make he or you better. It's you playing against that guy, beating that guy. That's what's going to help win the game for you.
You just got to get to him. And I know it's hard, and I know the ball comes out quick. But
it's on grass.
You might slow his self.
Slow him down? Yeah, I think he's about slowed down as he's going to get right now.
And
it doesn't stop his release.
And when it's 4th and 1, it's a quarterback sneak, okay?
Yeah. It ain't Philly, but it's still a quarterback sneak.
All right, that's my game preparation.
All right, and you know how many passes that Tom Brady threw this year? They were second in the league in passing offense, 32nd in running offense. Okay, and that's because they never run the ball.
So
how many? I don't know how many offensive snaps they had. Let's say 1,100 snaps all told. You know how many times they threw the ball?
500.
500's low.
800.
733 pass attempts. He set the NFL record with 490 completions on 733 pass attempts. Of course, that's a 17-game season now, but that's the NFL record. So, anyway.
And how many times did the Cowboys throw the ball?
You got the stat sheet right there in front of you.
I'm going to tell you here in a moment when I get to it. They threw the ball 519 times.
So more than 200 more pass attempts.
So do the people that cover the Bucs sit there and go, well, you got to run the ball. Why aren't they running the ball? You got to run it. Why are you running it on first down? They don't run it on first down.
We're so enamored with Tom, man. It's just the way it is.
700?
733 pass attempts.
His arm should really be tired.
So the Bucs, including the pass attempts thrown by
did anybody
Gabbert
else
and
throw any?
Trask. Well, against Atlanta, those guys, as Everson pointed out, the only games they got into with offensive snaps were
last week.
The Atlanta game.
They pulled him with just less than 5 minutes to go in the first half.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. So Gabbert was 6 out of 8 and Trask 3 out of 9. So there's 17 more pass attempps. So the number of pass attempts was exactly 750 for Tampa Bay.
Because they didn't have any other the rest.
None. No, that was it. No. The entire season.
Well, that old arm ought to be able to fall off.
That's right.
Come on.
It's a testament to him. I don't know what's in that arm. But whatever he's shooting up in it, keep doing it.
Well, it's not even the arm because you got to have your legs to throw the ball, right? Jeez.
He's got a nice...
So, okay, 733 pass attempts and 22 sacks. You're throwing the ball that many times and you're only sacked 22 times.
That's a pretty good percentage, right?
Well, because he just gets rid of it.
That's right. Exactly. That's how he's still playing at age 45.
Dak Prescott. Just get rid of the damn thing.
There you go.
Well, maybe that's why they're 8-9, right? They don't run the football.
That's
that
right.
is true.
We'll see on Monday night.
And we will see you again on Wednesday at noon.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,